Well, hey there, everybody. It's Ashley here from Lovely Commotion. Thank you for joining me for another Sunday. Today is all about Parent Education Bulletin Boards. So, when we are teaching our young children, we kind of have a trained eye for what they're learning through play, right? But not all parents and caregivers have that. I mean, children are learning these amazing things through play, but it's not necessarily easy for them to see. So I wanted a way to help educate the parents in of the children in my classroom. And I knew I didn't have time to have a whole bunch of trainings. They may not come anyway, right? And so I decided I would use the wall space to educate my families about their little learners because there's lots of misunderstandings, right? Many times when parents come to us, they want to know, what are they going to learn? What academic skills? They're focused solely on the academic skills. I've been asked some super interesting questions from families who, by no fault of their own, are just wondering what this whole preschool thing is about. So, are you going to teach my preschooler to read? We're going to set the foundation. Are you going to teach my preschooler their times tables? No, but we're going to set the foundation. Where are all the desks? Yep, nope, not in preschool. So for them, they have this preconceived notion of school. And sometimes that doesn't fit in with the play-based model. And so while I totally consider myself to be a preschool teacher, I know there are times where I'm going to have to teach the families of my preschoolers so they can start seeing the value of what we're doing. So I created these bulletin boards. I'm going to put them up all during the school year. Try to do once a month. I started this last year, and while I'm not completely sure they are always reading them, I know that I have done what I can to educate them when they come into our building. Maybe they're waiting for their child to get finished with the day and they're reading over it. Even if they just pick up one or two ideas from these bulletin boards, then it was worth my time and effort. So I created 10 of these, all on different areas of development and things that we do in preschool. So I want to show them to you in depth so you can see them and see if they would be something that maybe you would like to hang in the halls of your preschool or next to your classroom. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first one is the importance of play. I like this because it gives them a kind of like a snapshot of what play is. And in the center, it says play is the work of a child. And then here are some things that children learn through play. And then I just use string to kind of almost organize them out. Using bright colors, hopefully will be eye-catching, and they can go and read. And again, this is not for our children. This is strictly for their family. So lots of text would be okay because they're adults. So teaching them creative expression they learn through play, stress reducer, literacy skills, social skills, math skills, fine motor, gross motor, science. So many wonderful things that they may not think is going on. And so this just kind of gives them that bird's eye view of play is more than you think that it is. It's more than that relief from learning that many people think that it is, right? So I like to start with this board because it kind of sets the tone for the year. The next one is the social emotional skills. So if you have this set in, I have the social emotional learning set, all the different units, this matches up with that. And it says at preschool, we learn important social emotional skills like self-awareness, and it goes on to describe that. Social awareness goes on to describe that, self-management and relationship skills. And then around it, there are little people who have speech bubbles, and it's kind of giving them an example of what that looks like in a preschool classroom. And so some of this they might be able to relate to, right? Like, I've seen my preschooler doing this. I didn't realize that they were, developing these social emotional skills. So if that's one thing I can teach them, because I find it so hugely important, for our preschoolers to learn these. If I can teach them about them and the importance of them, maybe they will start valuing the social aspect that preschool brings as well. Let's see. Also, fine motor. Many of them don't know what fine motor skills are. So when you talk about them, or you send something home about fine motor or anything, they may not totally understand it. So this one is just, what are fine motor skills? And it's laying that out for them. And then there's 2 little boxes about tips that they can help them with. And then here are the stages that they go through to get to where they need to be. So stages of cutting, ripping paper, snipping paper, and then cutting paper. And then with the stages of writing, it just draws them right on down. Drawing, scribbling, letter-like forms, and it goes all the way down. So it kind of lets them kind of self-assess their own child, right? Like, oh, I've seen them doing that. They're in this stage now. Like, these are important things. I saw scribbles as just scribbles, but look, it really is what they're supposed to be doing. And so it kind of validates the things that their child is bringing home, which I love. So fine motor is important. Also gross motor. Many times this is overlooked, right? Like, they're always moving their busy little bodies, and it's a lot. Like, it's taxing on parents sometimes, all of the energy. But the things that they're doing is developing those gross motor skills. So it talks about what gross motor skills are, what are the benefits, and these are the different ones that we should be seeing them do. So maybe they'll go, I've never really thought about if my kid can stand on one foot, maybe we'll pretend to be flamingos later, right? And so they've already just picked up something from the board. They may not express it to me, but if they took it away, that is what I want, right? So I don't obviously know everything that got taken away from having these bulletin boards up, but I do like the fact that I am offering it out there, whether they choose to read it or not. Process art. This is a big one for us because many times their child is coming home with a backpack full of randomness. It's not the coloring pages. It's not the worksheets. It's not little cutesy crafts. And so sometimes that's like, okay, great. What is this? You glued buttons to a paper. Yay. So they don't totally understand it. And so educating them about process art, and the more you educate them, the more you can kind of watch the transformation of them talking to their child. Like, I've seen so many times where they're like, look at what I created. Oh, okay. To, wow, you used all those different things. And, it kind of shifts their thinking. So it talks about what is process art anyway. And then those little easels up there tells the benefits. And then it lists some art materials that they could have at home on hand to help their little creative person, their little creative person bloom. So I love putting scissors right in the middle, because that's when they're like, no, we don't do scissors. You can do scissors. Just keep them up high when not in use. But, these are things that preschoolers could have and need to have. So process art, love having that one up. Math skills. We are setting the math foundation. Sometimes they're not fully sure what they're even doing. Like, if they're not adding, then they're just counting. No, that's not it. We are the foundation, and I want them to understand that these are the building blocks to the rest of their math skills. And so at least it lists each math skill, like naming numerals, sorting, counting orally, counting with one-to-one correspondence, all those different things, seriation, and it explains it to them in a short little blib and a couple little icons so they can quickly pick up, because granted, they're not going to stand here all day and read this, right? So I want them just to go, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, my child does that. I haven't seen that. I should try that. Or, I didn't know they learned that. Just gaining insight into what we do, right? So math skills. Oh, I must have got social emotional in here twice. I apologize about that. And then self-help. Oh my goodness. I love this one, because we're finding more and more, and I don't know about you, but we're finding more and more kids coming in not being able to do some of these things for themselves. A lot of it's getting done for them. Aren't able to put on a coat, aren't able to put on shoes. I'm not talking about tying, just putting them on. Some not even able to toilet themselves or even pull up and down their pants. And so we're seeing this kind of decrease in the self-help skills that they can do. And so, one other way to try to combat this is to educate parents. And so, it kind of spells out for them like these are the things that they can do by themselves. You do not need to do that for them. And like, what are helps? And then the ones in the bottom are what are self help skills and tips for you to encourage that independence. Because, sometimes you just want to go put the child down, right? Let them do it. They know how when you're not around. And even though that feels a little bit rude, we try not to do that. This board maybe can combat that. And you can maybe even reference it, right? Like, oh, I've noticed that your child is working on putting on shoes. Here are some other things that they can do by themselves at 4, because, parents just don't know. And so it's just that education factor. Another one is names. Name writing seems like this rite of passage, right? Like they got to learn how to write their name. It's special to them. It's exciting to watch it develop, even as educators and as parents. And so this just kind of walks them through the path of name writing, because as we know, it is a path. It's not a one and done. It's not a, now you know it. It is a path. And so it takes them through the steps, and then underneath that step, it tells them how they can help them. And so it kind of gives them a little bit of power into, okay, I could practice in the car spelling their name orally. Totally can do that. Oh, we should look for letters of their name around. That's easy enough. I just didn't know, right? And so laying all that out there for them gives them some great guidance. Another one, kindergarten readiness, right? We always want to talk about kindergarten readiness, and I don't want to approach it from your child should know this. I really want to approach it with the how you can help that transition. And so at the top, we celebrate our graduates, and then at the bottom, I want to give them some tools and some ideas of ways they can help their soon-to-be kindergartner, like decrease or phase out naps. Some of them are like, wait, what? I didn't even think of that, right? That's important. That's going to mess with their day. Establishing those morning and bedtime routines and sticking to them is huge for that transition. And maybe seeing that written out will help them go, I do need to make this priority. Read picture books about kindergarten. They may not have thought to go to the library and grab some books if their child is anxious. Talk to them about what to do if they need help, because you're not going to be there. And there's going to be a larger class of students compared to preschool maybe, right? So different ideas there. And then the 10th board, we are learning. I like to educate our parents about the two different types of learning that we're doing in preschool. We're doing academic learning and intellectual learning. And so much of what I want them to take away from preschool is intellectual learning, right? We want them to be able to problem solve. We want them to be able to predict, hypothesize, reason. All these things are going to serve them so big later in life. And while academic skills are important, they tend to be the ones that parents focus on because that's their idea of school, right? And so we kind of have to get them to understand that through play, they are learning so many amazing skills of intellectual learning and academic, but there's two parts to it. And I like to kind of put them side by side, because when you look at practice versus problem solving, what is serving these children more? Being able to problem solve, being able to figure out things on their own, and being able to use that the rest of their life, right? And then identification versus predicting, they kind of spell it out right there, that academic skills are secondary to intellectual learning if you really look at them side by side. And so showing them that there's another type of learning, not just what they're used to as far as academic, can make them start valuing what you're doing in the classroom, right? And you can start using these words when you're talking to them. Like, I was just amazed at the problem solving skills that he used to create this, tower or whatever it was. And start using those and honing those in, because so much of it is breaking the stereotype that academic and learning is all that we do. And so at the bottom it says, at preschool, we learn both. And so this was an important one for me to put in, because it's something I want to make sure that my families understand. So those are all 10. If you think that these might be helpful, you can grab them in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. They are actually they are $1 per set. So they're $10 for the whole set, $1 per bulletin board set. And you don't have to do any of the thinking and researching and formatting. And all you'll have to do is print them out, laminate them, cut them, hang them up, right? So I want to make it super easy. I wanted to make it super easy for myself and super easy for all of you as well. So if you're interested in that, that is what each of them look like. And you can grab them. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know, do you have a parent education board? Is this something that maybe you now want to try and this excites you to be able to educate parents with the wall space that you already have? So just drop a comment. Let me know. And I will see y'all next week. Bye.